Right, good morning and welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Moses Humphrey. Well, the Nigerian army has intercepted a truckload of... No. Now, wait a minute. Actually, it's a giant shipment of ammunition being smuggled into the southeast. Plus, backing up action with words, the Inspector General of Police has actually withdrawn mobile policemen from ex-governors, ministers, and VIPs. Well, let's sit back and go over these topics this morning. In the meantime, you may want to click the like button and subscribe to our page on YouTube. In fact, we would like for you to click and subscribe to our page on YouTube. It's Voice of the People TV. That is Voice of the People TV up on YouTube. And do follow us on other social media platforms at voptvlive. Well, first up, as always, we'll start off with stories making headlines on the cover pages of some newspapers. And I have with me Cyril Abaku, VOP in-house analyst. Together, we'll be making sense of these headlines in the cover pages of the dailies. Good morning to you, Cyril.
Good morning, Moses.
All right, then. So let's dive into it, shall we? From the Tribune, we'll be starting off with the Tribune this morning. The Nigerian Tribune has this headline: How Adamu lost out as APC chairman. His many sins. VP loyalists. Kyari now acting chairman. Deputy National Secretary replaces Omishore. Special convention to hold soon. All right. Finally, we've been told, that it's not a rumor. The chairman of the APC has, dropped his resignation. Oh well. On top of the nameplates of the Nigerian Tribune, we have high food prices push inflation rate to 22.79%. FG confirms first case of anthrax in Nigeria. Poultry industry on verge of total collapse. PAN cries to Tinubu, wants him to intervene in allocation of 40,000 MT of maize. And also we have a lot of headlines here actually. We have 2,300 ghost workers removed from payroll. 200 million naira saved, Abia government. Ondo Council vice chairman dies a week after chairman's death. Ban on sit at home. Markets, banks, schools open as Enugu governor monitors compliance, or Enugu government monitors compliance. PDP accuses Tinubu's lawyers of intimidating judiciary in written address. Customs intercept arms ammunition at Lagos port. Troops impound truckload of ammunition going to Anambra. Police seize 13 million naira cannabis in Lagos. All right, so these are the headlines on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune.
Well,
quite a lot.
Yes,
Cyril.
I mean, it's quite a lot. But the beginning with the Adamu case, it can be brought down to one thing, like I said yesterday. And it's one thing that does not help our politics to grow, except anybody can contravene, can contradict me otherwise. I stand to be contradicted. But the reality is that when government becomes stronger than the party, when elected officials become stronger than the institution itself, it becomes a problem. It means we are now having men instead of institutions. It's been like that as a reality, no doubt about it. But are we getting any better for it? Are we, the chairman of a party, all the sins is that he didn't play ball, he didn't coast along with.
Well, isn't it normal that a president might want people that are friends with him to be in positions like that?
No, but that's, you see, this is the point, Moses. We are not the first people to practice democracy. There are things a president or prime minister normally wishes for, which if he gets, becomes a bonus for him. But there's no guarantee that he's going to get them. Okay? The party normally should have been existing before anybody became a member of the party. Even if you're a family member of the party, there are guidelines and there are rules. It's like saying, shouldn't the president have allies in the judiciary, allies in the Senate, and so on? Of course, President Trump appointed a lot of conservative judges to the Supreme Court. Did not mean that if he had a personal case in court, they'll set him free without due process. So you have a case where the party, as the custodian of ideology, as the custodian of party principles, as the custodian of party philosophy, as the custodian of party rules and regulations, is now answerable to one individual whose tenure is fixed, whereas the party should be there for long years. But a man whose tenure is fixed. So how does one man's wisdom become better than an entire institution? That's where the issue is. It's like saying the president would like to have allies in the Senate and House of Representatives. Of course, but not the way they surrendered the powers and said, Mr. President, we're waiting for you to select who you want to be the maybe president of the Senate and Speaker of House of Reps. It's not done that way. So there can be privileges, but not control. Okay. And that's what we have now. We have a case where a whole party chairman, will have to honorably walk up the scene. It's simply because he is not in. But the reality is, are these actually men who are guided by ideology, guided by philosophy, guided by ideals, guided by values, guided by principles? The answer is your answer is as good as mine, because in the end, they don't even belong to parties. They belong to vehicles that help them to come to power. They are politicians only to the extent that they belong to political parties that help them to win elections. Otherwise, it is difficult for us to sit back and say they're a party, they're men of like minds, and so, if really they are men who are guided by values and ideals, things may not have come this far and this bad. But the reality is that because we practice this sort of solid democracy in Nigeria, once you become governor, once you become a president, everything must follow on your desk.
That's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
Well, that's the reality of our time.
Sure, but then going over to the story about customs intercepting arms and ammunition at the ports. Sometimes those who had been saying that this country was a failed state many years, more than 30, 40, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, thereabout. And some persons were saying, why are they saying Nigeria was a failed state? To be honest with you, it's not today that this sort of things began to happen. In fact, I met a very senior journalist some months ago who said while he worked in the north, I think in Kano or so, yes, many years ago, under the Abacha regime, was it Abacha or Bangida? Yeah, I think it was Abacha, that a shipment of, what did he say, missiles came in from Egypt, undeclared. They just landed. So he wrote the story. He wrote it as an exclusive story. People don't, those things happen and people just don't seem to follow up. It happened, it passed. Some time ago, it was a Senator Amosun's house that they found that hole, until today. Nothing came out of it. In fact, there was a particular consignment they saw. It looked like somebody was going to wage war against Nigeria. Nothing came out of it. How? We are the country, I think, in Africa with the highest rate of light weapons. And yet, people are shipping in. If it was even maybe they were illegally smuggling cars or illegally smuggling foodstuff or something, it's even different. In this Nigeria, people, and so
like we're a nation at war.
Look, the question is, who is at war against who? And then, who are the people who have the war chest to finance such a shipment? Can't Nigeria impose trade barriers or sanctions on the countries of origin of those consignments? With the one that was going to Enugu to Anambra, we had a Ghanaian driver. Who cares about the Ghanaian driver? It could have been anybody. What even made you believe that the name he gave is his real name? People who do these businesses could have a lot of aliases for all you care. Or could it be that an enemy, a hostile nation is planting,
infiltrating the country and planting people?
We are so porous.
These are questions we will touch on much later in the day.
Moses, how is it that some people were paid 50 million naira to go and kill Apostle Johnson Suleiman? They spent 4 million naira to do the rituals to go and kill him. The thing didn't work. Now, you are pulling away VIP police escorts from people who, I just hope the police IG has the numbers and the data that's backing up the thing he's doing. Because this appears to be the reason why within weeks, you just say that they've gone back to status quo ante. Let me rest my case for now.
Please do. Thank you very much. Cyril, we will be touching on some of these stories much later. Well, let's quickly delve into another daily now. The Guardian has these headlines. Nigeria spends over 99% revenue to service debts as inflation bites harder. PDP, LP knock APC over alleged plots to intimidate PEPC. And then when you go further down, you have Sit at Home. Businesses, schools open in Enugu as Mba vows to seal locked businesses. And we just found out that a shipment of ammunition was heading towards that side. So one can easily adduce to what this is about. APC chieftains explain why Adamu was removed as progressives take over. Fresh concerns over cancerous sweetener in food, beverages. AMCON, Mule's liquidation, return to shareholders option for embattled Arik Air. Nigeria confirms first anthrax case among animals in Suleja. All right, so these are the headlines from The Guardian. Cyril?
Could we go back to the banner headline?
Nigeria spends over 99% revenue to service debts as inflation bites harder.
And only yesterday, the new figures came out that inflation had gone up higher. Taxes are on the rise. Tariffs are on the rise. The cost of living is on the rise, because everybody is transferring the burden to the next person. That's what's happening. It's just a ripple effect. And in the end, it is the end buyer, it's the consumer, it's the retail buyer that suffers.
That bears the brunt of it all.
Yeah, that bears the brunt of it all. And the president said, let that man do what? Let him breathe. Mr. President, the man can't breathe. He can't breathe. He has nostrils, but the air around him, air supply, has been cut off. There are altitudes in the heavens that don't have oxygen there. So and inflation is something that is going up. So it
has gotten to where there's no oxygen.
It has gotten to where there's no oxygen anymore. Mr. President, please be mindful of us, because you won't hear of investments right now. High taxes are contractionary. People will be weary or be worried of putting money down. I want to put 5 billion naira and I'm going to spend about maybe a sizable chunk of it already paying taxes. So how do you want to invite or attract people to come in and do business? I hope that I just believe that, under President Buhari, I remember when he came to power in 2015, and it was taking him forever to appoint a cabinet. Man went to meet him in Aso Rock and laid out their what they wanted, okay? The president called for the permanent secretaries in about 2 or 3 ministries, told them to take note of what they were saying, and I was going to, thereafter nothing came out of it. Now again, if you check all the headlines, week in, week out, day in, day out, you hear man always has something to say. But last week or 2 weeks ago, they said that this power hike, this tariff will drive multinational investors to leave Nigeria. They said that. Yesterday again, what did they say? They said something yesterday. They were talking about, is it metering? That the World Bank system. I think we need to listen to them.
They also have something to say today as well.
Good. You see, so I think we need to listen to them, because the fact this is your industrial sector. If they cannot manufacture, and what is your vaunted claim about being an economic powerhouse anyway? Because look at what's it called, Agbara. Under President Buhari, they came out to say that due to the vicious policies and the business policies of the president, that they were mothballing. Can I confess to you, Moses, I didn't know the meaning of that word until I heard it from them. That was in May, mothballing. That is when factories have to shut down, lose their equipment, and keep them, just keep them back to avoid wastage and rot until such a time when they can come back to do business.
That is really bad.
Mothballing, mothballing, mothballing. I never knew the word before. Until so this is just to tell you, if your manufacturers are telling you that this is where they are, I think we need to listen to them, because they hold the power to reduce our import bill. Okay? We want to manufacture sandals, shoes, beverages, whatever. Manufacturers, watches, consumer items and so on. If they cannot, I have a friend who produced, he told me this thing is simple. You get the mold, then you do the mixture, whatever. You, at a certain temperature, you put the substance or whatever it is in the mold, and then it's, and brings it. So he was telling me, and this man is an activist, he said, of course, he was into manufacturing. Let's check in the last 10 years, how many Nigerian manufacturers have left the sector. I think it's alarming. We need to look at these things. It's not alarming indeed. And incentivize them going back to work, because factories are where people where you can employ people who are both educated and those who are not educated. Two places, farms and factories. Any country where farms are not commonplace and factories are not doing are not smiling, believe me, all the numbers that you want to bandy about will be lies. That was what happened with Soludo when he was governor of Central Bank of Nigeria. The banks were telling us numbers of profit. This bank, how many of those banks are still there today? Even after the capitalization. I don't want to mention names. But they were billion. One writer said, after one of the banks went down, when Yaradua came and had to move Soludo away, one writer said that his own father had about four or so lorries. That was how his father's lorries we are lost. That same economics was being reinvented by Soludo. Banks they don't have enough branches. How many customers do they have? But they will tell you at the end of the year that they've made an economy that banks are not financing farms. Banks are not financing factories, but they are telling you that which sector are they giving loans to? All right, so much so that the CBN had to be giving loans to farmers in the north. Anchor borrower scheme. A central bank.
All right, let's move away from that paper. Let's touch on another paper because of time. We have The Nation also on our table. The Nation has these headlines: APC top positions, why Adamu Mishori lost out, lack of accountability, poor leadership allegations, cause of resignation, Kyari, Faunta take over in acting capacity, Al Makura, Kekemike, maybe replacements. All right, and then we also have database of 15 million poor Nigerians, says agency. How the $800 million will be transferred to beneficiaries. So they do have accounts, the poorest of the poor. It's been confirmed apparently.
Mose, the Catalonians in Spain, Barcelona and the likes of them, they invented a type of football called tiki-taka because of their physical appearance and their physical build. They don't ever put the ball in the air. Is leg work all the way. So when you start playing long balls against such a team, this $800 million, I hope we won't be hearing it like over, just keep hearing. 15 million Nigerians who are poor. That's interesting.
Are we not more than that?
They said they have data for 15 million.
They have data for 15 million.
That's interesting.
Indeed. So now the people are not ashamed to have their names told to the public. Because that's what they said earlier. That the people we are ashamed of being identified. And so they couldn't tell us who they were. And now they said they have the database. Oh well. let's get your final thoughts.
They were sharing food during COVID and there were no schools. My final thoughts.
Get your final thoughts.
My final thoughts.
As we make to wrap up.
What final thoughts am I going to have? Other than that, Moses, please. Our leaders ought to get up, wake up, and be serious. Otherwise, they wake up one day and find that there's no country to govern anymore. And that's all I'm going to say.
All right, and we hope it doesn't get to that level. All right, well, thank you very much, Cyril Abaku, for joining me on the newspaper segment. Now let's go on to another talking point. A massive shipment of arms and ammunition intercepted on its way to the southeast by the Nigerian army. Now, whose are they, and will we ever know? Will we ever know? Big question there. Okay, join us in a bit as we come back. And when we do come back, we'll be talking with Charles Ideho. He's on standby. And also John Akirele. So stick around.